What's going on, guys? Welcome to week one of CCC. The last video I uploaded was the team breakdown of this team. If you haven't seen that, I will link it. You should go back and watch that so you can have an understanding of the team that we're playing with right now. As you can see, I did not start recording until the match already started. So I'm gonna run through some background info with you guys. So I was looking at this guy's team, and he didn't have a ton of fire resists. And so I thought the Torkoal looked pretty good, so I brought Specs Torkoal. And then his only resists were covered by Sunflora, and he didn't have any fake out, and then Hatterene can't get taunted thanks to Magic Bounce, and so I was like, okay, he can't really stop Trick Room, and so I kind of leaned pretty hard into it. So just all my Trick Room stuff, and so as you'll see in the team preview for the next game, I had a couple things that could kind of function outside of Trick Room, but for the most part the plan was just to get Trick Room up. And then a couple minutes before the game started, I said, wait a minute, he has Dusk Noir. Does Dusk Noir get imprisoned? Because I know it gets Trick Room. And I looked it up, and it does. And so I figured if he brought it, that would be the set that it was running. And so I was on the lookout for that. In the team preview, he didn't bring any fire resists. He does have Terra Dragon, so I figured that would probably be coming out at some point. But I had answers for it. I wasn't super worried about it. I knew that I could either chunk with Torkoal and clean up with whatever I brought in the back, or I could clean up whatever Terra Pokemon and then go crazy with Torkoal. So the lead ends up being Furret Hatterene because I can redirect basically anything, and then if he has Golden Go, and so if he goes for Make It Rain, then I have Babiri Berry, so I'm guaranteed to live that hit. So the only way he can stop it is with Imprison Dusk Noir, which I figure he'll bring. It is in his 6, so I figure it'll be part of the lead. But I still think Follow Me is useful. For it has Frisk, so it allows me to see items on lead. I have Shadow Ball on Hatterene to cover for both of those things. And so I figure I'll probably be able to get Trick Room up. And that's my general game plan. I believe we're starting in the middle of turn 1 or potentially the beginning of turn 2. This is my first time doing post-comms, so if commentary is weird, then I'm sorry. I've never done it like this before. Anyway, here we go. So, I need a second to see the board state. Sorry. Okay, so this is at turn 2, the beginning of turn 2. So I have Furret and Hatterene. He has Dusk Noir and Clodsire. He led Dusk Noir and Golden Go, and he revealed that he is Eject Pack Golden Go. I think I misplayed this turn pretty bad. I went for Follow Me for some reason, and then Shadow Ball into Golden Go. I took Make It Rain on both Pokemon. Furret took over 50%, and so did Hatterene, but they both survived thanks to the Babiri Berry, and then he switched out thanks to the Eject Pack and brought in Clodsire, and I went for Shadow Ball into that slot for some reason. I think I was overthinking things. I'm not really 100% sure why I did that. Um, but Clodsire took really not very much damage, and so both of my Mons are at about 50%, and his Mons are effectively at this point untouched. Anyway, with that said, we're getting into it. So I protect because I figure he's going for a poison move or a ghost type move into Hatterene. And then, of course, Super Fang comes out because I want that chip on Clodsire. And then this happens. I figure he probably wants it for the turn of immunity, just to keep it safer longer. But I have a Follow Me normal type on the field, and I know that Dusknoir is faster than Clodsire, so I can kind of Follow Me for free here to completely negate that damage, and then Gunk Shot will go into Furret. If it hits and it goes down, then it is what it is, but regardless, Hatterene is guaranteed to be safe for this turn, and I can launch a Shadow Ball into Dusknoir with no worries, and he does end up missing the Gunk Shot, which is very, very nice for me. And Shadow Ball comes out and does really a decent chunk of damage. Damage that we like to see. It does reveal leftovers, but I already knew that, thanks to Frisk. So, at this point, I'm thinking, I know that I want to kill Dusknoir, but Clodsire is threatening Hatterene with Gunk Shot. And so, and I don't know what Dusknoir's last move is, but I do know that it's not Protect. Being able to go for Protect last turn was a really, really big deal. That reveal was extremely important. And so, with all that information, I Follow Me to see what Dusknoir is going to do, and to keep Hatterene safe from Clodsire, hopefully. He does go for Liquidation, and it does end up picking up for it. I don't think the crit mattered, considering it is a Life Orb set. But, yeah. I was thinking he wouldn't go for Phantom Force, because I had Furret on the field, but he did, and so I go into Torkoal here, because I'm pretty sure, I think there's a chance that Clodsire is slower. Not a super huge chance, but definitely a chance nonetheless, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Torkoal and Clodsire are tied in terms of speed tier, so if he's min speed, then there's a chance Torkoal goes first, but I do know that I go after Dusknoir, so I can go for Eruption or Heat Wave, because I know that Torkoal isn't getting targeted, and then whatever happens with Clodsire will happen. And because I know that Phantom Force is targeting into my Psychic type and not what used to be my normal type, I know that I can safely bring in Ursaluna here and take 0 damage. And I figure he expects the Phantom Force to KO, so probably he will use Clodsire to attack into Torkoal. And so I do go for Heat Wave instead of Eruption, just because I expect to take some chip here, and I don't want to use reduced output Eruption. He goes for Liquidation, which does basically nothing. It's not Stab. Torkoal's defense is naturally very, very high, and it's weakened by Sun, and then Heat Wave comes out and picks up the double KO. Again, I really don't think that crit mattered, considering how much Shadow Ball did, and then considering this is Choice Specs and Sun boosted. I don't think it mattered. Maybe it did. I'm not particularly convinced. So I feel like I'm in a pretty good position at this point, and then seeing the Corviknight is his last Pokemon, I really, really feel extremely good about this. I figure one of them is Terra Dragon to resist Torkoal. Ursaluna's not allowed to Terra here. So, quick side note, I could not gen Ursaluna because it's a home Pokemon, and the bots were being very strange, and so I was able to teach it the moves that I wanted it to know, and do, like, the EV spreads and everything, because I was running a pretty simple spread, but I wasn't able to change the Terra because I didn't have the shards. So I know that Ursaluna is not allowed to Terra Dragon because of how Terra works in this league, but I just didn't Terra it because that's illegal. But at this point, I know that Torkoal can almost certainly clean up here, and so I opt to get it out because I want it to be able to come back in and click Eruption. So I bring Hatterene in its stead because I know that Ursaluna is about to do a ton of damage to Gholdengo regardless of whether or not it Terras, which it does. And it's Fairy, which I was not expecting. I expected it to be Dragon so that it could resist fire, but it's not. And then Thunderwave comes out. I don't really understand that play very much. I feel like Shadow Ball just would have been better. You get damage and Torkoal isn't outspeeding anything anyway, and so just like getting that damage off would have been better. But then Reflect goes up, and so Headlong Rush misses the KO, but Hatterene is not dead. And so I'm in a position that I did not expect to be in. I'm not 100% sure what to do, but I do decide to make a pretty aggressive prediction. I know that Torkoal goes crazy here. With all that chip on Gholdengo and Corviknight unable to Terra, I know that Torkoal can clean up, and so I figure he thinks I want to keep Hatterene safe since it's under so much pressure this turn, and so I go for Trick Room. If best case scenario, he doesn't attack into it, and I got Trick Room up. Worst case scenario, it dies and Torkoal still does great work, and he does a completely passive turn. I don't super understand why he did this. Iron Defense isn't particularly useful for Torkoal in the back, and Corviknight walls Ursaluna regardless, so I'm not really sure what that was for. I know, realistically, I know it was for body press damage, but like, I still don't get it. And then Protect on Gholdengo, I understand, but I think it wasn't like super necessary. I think it would have been better to kill Hatterene and hope Corviknight can take care of the rest. But honestly, I think from that position, I still probably had a win locked. It's just that everything has become a lot easier now. My only concern is that I need to get Torkoal in safely. And I know that body press is threatening damage, and I know that Torkoal's natural defense is very high, but I'm still worried, especially with Corviknight at +2, and now at +4. I want him to pick up a KO so that I can bring in Torkoal safely and win the game. But he didn't do that, and so one Trick Room turn is burned, and I decide, you know what? I'm not going to let him sit here and play passively until Trick Room goes away. I'm going to start Swords Dancing. And then, if I need to get to +6, and he gets to +6, and we just have to duke it out, cool. And then there's the body press. He opts to not pick up the KO on Hatterene. Sun goes down, which is great, because that means I will get the full 5 turns when Torkoal comes back in. And at this point, I am low on Trick Room turns. I kind of have to bring in Torkoal right now. And so I figure he's relatively comfortable just ignoring Ursaluna right now. But I'm not sure. Because if he decides to try and KO, because I've been going for Swords Dance, then I'm in trouble. And if he goes for Hatterene, not going for the KO, then it's like, it was a weird position. I decide to call him attacking into the Ursaluna because I've been going for Swords Dance. So I bring Torkoal in instead of Hatterini. I Sword Stance again. Um, and I believe he does go for Body Press. He goes for Roost, which is perfect for me. It can't Terra. I'm sure it's not Sash. It wouldn't make any sense for it to be Sash. And so I still have a turn of Trick Room left, and he has revealed Reflect, Iron Defense, Body Press, and Roost. So I know that he is not carrying Protect. So he can't really do anything to stop what's happening right now. And from this range, I basically am guaranteed to win the game. And so at this point, I'm kind of thinking about like how I adapt for game 2. And honestly, I'm thinking about it, and I think I brought the right 4. I just need to change how I play that lead matchup, because I do expect him to do the same thing or something similar. Because if he doesn't lead Dusk Noir, then he can't stop Trick Room. And clearly, Trick Room going up is very bad for him. So I expect him to do the same thing or something similar. I think the lead that I already had was still pretty good. And so I decided to bring the same 4, unfortunately leaving Sunflora behind. Again, Sag. But the 4 that I brought feel very, very good into basically his whole 6. And so I just do it again, and I know that I can adapt to the lead matchup and then play the mid to late game basically the same, and hopefully take this set in 2. I'm notoriously bad at playing game 3s, so I'm hoping that it does not come to that. So here you see his 6 and my 6. I did bring Quagsire. He had a couple of water types, and I expected at least one of them to come, and so being able to wall those guys while also ignoring things like Bulk Up or Iron Defense from Corviknight or Nasty Plots from Golden Go would be very, very nice, but I don't need it, so that doesn't come either. And as you can see from his side, again, he didn't bring any natural fire resists. We were talking after the game, and he said he didn't expect me to go hard Trick Room, which is understandable, but, just considering how strong Torkoal was here offensively, I figured I might as well lean into it. And again, I didn't remember that Dusknoir gets imprisoned until like minutes before the set started. And so when I was building, I thought he didn't have any way of dealing with it or denying it. So as I was thinking in the last game, at the time, I hadn't really decided whether or not bring the same 4 was best, or if I should bring Sunflora, but I do clearly decide that I brought the right Pokemon, I just need to adapt my play, and I'm pretty confident that I can do that. And so we jump into game 2. Again, I do expect a similar or identical lead, and I just have to play it differently. And he does lead the same thing. I also lead the same thing. This does feel like a very good lead matchup for me, as long as I play correctly. I think last game I didn't play it great, but it worked out in the end because I feel like my matchup here is very good, and I also, like, respectfully think he misplayed a couple times, and so I am pretty sure I can just adjust my early game and then still win pretty comfortably in the mid to late game. But I also know that he's not just going to let me do that. So I'm hoping to take out the Dusknoir here. I'm foregoing Follow Me and instead going for Helping Hand, because I do expect him to go for Make It Rain and Imprison. And so if a Helping Hand Shadow Ball can KO Dusknoir, then I am in such a good position. It's actually kind of insane. And so I Terra Fire so that I can resist Make It Rain and not be weak to Ghost in case he is carrying something like Shadow Sneak or Shadow Punch. He goes for Thunder Wave and does miss, which is admittedly another pretty solid piece of RNG for me. The Gunk Shot miss and then that have been very much in my favor. He does survive just barely, which is really annoying, but whatever. Because it's so low, and I know that it's not carrying Protect, I am confident that I can pick up the KO with Dazzling Gleam and threaten anything that might come in to the Guldengo slot, or if he doesn't switch out, then I get a little bit of chip, and I'm really not worried about it. But I do know that he's faster than me, so if he goes for, like, Shadow Ball Phantom Force, then I'm in a bit of trouble, and so I decided to cover for the Phantom Force by going for Charm into Dust Noir to reduce that damage output, and then going for Dazzling Gleam just in case he doesn't do that. He does go for Terra. Again, I'm not super sure why he does this. Well, I do. He doesn't want to be weak to Shadow Ball, which I definitely understand and respect. It's more that I still am not 100% sure why he's Fairy, not Dragon. But regardless, he goes for Make It Rain. It does good damage to Frit, not a ton to Hatterini, and then he eject packs out. So I'm not sure what he's going to. I'm figuring it's probably Clodsire to eat that Shadow Ball again. But I'm not 100% sure. And so we wait for it for a second. I don't know what this is, and then it's Tauros, which makes me very glad that I did not Shadow Ball into the Guldengo slot. And he doesn't Phantom Force. He reveals his last move, and I'm immediately super fucking pissed off. Like, I'm so annoyed. I'm extremely irritated, but whatever. It is what it is. This is a weird position. I expect Tauros to attack into Hatterini. It is almost certainly the fastest thing on the field. Because it's base 110, and Furt is base, like, 86, 96. And so, I know I can't outspeed it, and nerf its damage, or kill it, or anything. And so, I believe I protect Hatterini here, and go for Charm, hoping that he targets into Hat, and not into Furret. And then he does this. Oh, we find out that my Furret is faster, which is cool. And then he goes for Surf. I'm not gonna lie, I don't get it. So I'm confused. I don't really know what to do at this point. So I just go for some chip with Furret. I know that Tauros is going to go first, and I end up not doing that. I know he's going to go first. I think there's a chance that I live that Surf. I didn't see exactly how much damage it did, because I was so baffled that it was happening, but I think there's a chance that I live it. And then he doesn't go for it. So, I have no idea what this set is. I'm confused, but Furret goes down, and I'm thinking to myself, now hold on. He's at -2, I might live, and then I do. So, we get the Shadow Ball off, and Dust Noir goes down, which is great. We trade 1 for 1. And now I can go for Trick Room. The problem is, my Follow Me user is dead. And Hatterene is nearly dead. So, at this point, I figure, I don't think I'm getting Trick Room up this game. So, what do I do? I know he has Golden Go in the back, and I'm assuming that he left Corviknight because it was pretty useless last game. And so, I feel like Torkoal is kind of like an easy go-to, and then he brings in Clodsire, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, again, I don't expect Hatterene to live this turn, but whether I attack or Trick Room, I'm dead either way, because I'm one of the slowest things on the field, and so I just go for Trick Room. Because I think I'm in a relatively okay position either way, thanks to Heat Wave. But if he lets me get up Trick Room, if he, like, calls a Protect or something, or if he's just scared of Torkoal, which is reasonable, then I feel like I'm in a pretty good position. And lo and behold, he goes for Helping Hand Horsepower into Torkoal, which does very little. Because again, Torkoal's base defense is very, very, very high. So, after Trick Room goes up this late in the game, with this much chip, I forget that I'm spexed, and I go for that didn't do that much damage, I want to go for Eruption. I don't have Eruption, or I'm spexed, I can't change off of Heat Wave, because I don't want to miss, but I figure whatever. If it's going to miss something, it's going to miss Tauros. So I go for Gleam, and I cross my fingers, basically, because if it misses Tauros, Gleam will pick up the KO, but if it misses Clodsire, Gleam will not pick up the KO. Fortunately, Heat Wave does manage to hit both again, and Torkoal picks up another double KO. And I know that his last Pokemon in the back is Golden Go, and I have Ursaluna. And I know from last game that without Reflect Up, even after Terra, Golden Go still dies to Guts Boosted Headlong. So at this point, I figure it's basically in the bag, and so I can kind of just attack. Interesting. I switch because I want to activate the burn and I want to be able to go for Eruption. I forgot that I did that, but that's definitely why, because I don't like risking misses. The two good pieces of RNG I've gotten this game are the best pieces of RNG, or, like, this is one of the luckiest games I've ever had, and it's only been, like, two things. He goes for Stab Gleam, thanks to Terra. Manages to pick up Hatterene, which at this point has more than done its job, and this game is a wrap from this range. It's at 50% health. I'm safely in Trick Room. I believe I have 3 full turns left. Headlong will kill. Eruption will kill. Flamethrower will kill. I genuinely don't think there's anything that I can do to lose this game at this point. His only out is to get a triple protect. And even then, I'm pretty sure I still win, because Make It Rain is not killing Torkoal, and I honestly don't think it's killing Ursaluna either. Gleam isn't killing Torkoal, Shadow Ball probably isn't killing Torkoal, and so, like, and from 50% health, he's not eating, like, any hit. And so, even if he gets, like, a whole bunch of protects in a row, this still feels basically guaranteed. And I believe the game does end this turn. He goes for the double, doesn't get it. Unfortunate, it is what it is, though. And Flamethrower goes off, and Torkoal gets its 6th kill of the set, and we end up taking it 2-0, which feels great for the start of the season. I'm a little sad that I didn't get to bring Sunflora, but it is what it is. I'm not going to complain about a 2-0 win, and especially with the pretty decent RNG that I had. I didn't miss any heat waves. I got a Thunder Wave miss and a Gunk Shot miss. Again, do I think they were the most consequential things? Not particularly, but they definitely had some level of impact, and this was probably the luckiest game I've ever had. And yeah, I'm certainly not going to bitch about it just because I didn't get to use a specific Pokemon. But anyway, that's going to be it for week 1. I feel really good about this start to the season. I feel really good about how I played. I feel pretty solid about how I prepped. GG's to Joel. Good luck to him in the rest of his season. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.